What's up? What's up? What's up? You guys know the deal. Go ahead and drop where you're tuning in from in the comments. But today we have a special little treat for you. So go ahead and also add what kind of PM are you? Are you a food product manager? And if so, tell us what kind of food you make. If you're a construction project manager, go ahead and drop that in. If you're a technical program manager, go ahead and list that as well. Because here's the thing. The sky is the limit with what kind of project, product, or program management you can be in. And we're going to get all kinds of tongue twisted up with that today. So here's the thing. When you watch this on replay, or if you're tuning in live, be sure to go ahead and connect with others that are in your area of interest. Because without community, as you will find out, it can be really hard. The job search can be a very lonely place, but today, the Job Connection Tuesday Collective is proving you do not have to navigate your career on your own. So, Anna, why don't we go ahead and welcome a couple people who are tuning in. Woo! We got Hannah tuning in from Milwaukee. We've got Charlie tuning in from Ohio. Woo-hoo. Chicago is in the house. Hey.
All right, where's the Southerners? Come on, let's go. We need some more Georgia
we got
to
Jake
represent.
from California.
Nice.
We've got, I'm going to need to put some glasses on. Ayo, we've got you tuning in from North Carolina and a BI analyst. That's what's up. So many people are tuning in. So for those of you who do not know me, hello, I am Tegan Bartos, founder and managing director of Jolt Your Career. I am joined today by the lovely Anna Morgan, who is a recruiter by day and your job search BFF by night. We are both volunteers for the Job Connection Tuesday Collective, a group right here on LinkedIn. If you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, get on over to LinkedIn eventually. This group has over 10,000 recruiters, hiring managers, product, program, project managers, and job seekers alike. We volunteer almost every Friday at 2 o'clock Central Time right now, bringing you 100% free career coaching, community, and support to ambitious professionals just like yourself.
100%. Created by Dan Roth, our great friend and fearless leader, right?
Yes. So actually, the community has asked us to create something specifically for how to level up within, or how to break into product, project, and program management. So our founder, Dan Roth, has brought together a powerhouse group of women. He can't be here today because it's his twin's 3rd birthday, and he's got, I think, family in town. Something's going on. But I saw that there is an amazing water slide pool. So thank you, Dan Roth, for bringing us all together today for us to answer everybody's questions on this 90-minute live stream, or however long it takes for us to get through it all. No worries if you have to run early. You can always catch this on replay. And if you're catching this on replay right now, go ahead and drop that hashtag replay in. If you're like actually watching it right now, we're live. So yeah, awesome. Okay, so here's what I need for you. If you have a question, and let me try to multitask. Yeah, I should have worn my glasses. Okay, so if you have a question, go ahead and put it in bold, because Anna is going to make sure every single one of you get your answers question. So yes, Anna, she is going to be moderating the chat. She is going to be dropping links. She is going to be welcoming people. Anna Morgan, is holding it down.
Yes, I am going to be reading. So if I am looking off, that is only because I am trying to keep up with all you amazing people. So thank you for hosting this, Tegan. We're so excited about the guests that are about to join us and the gems, the gold, the wisdom that is going to be shared here. So just get ready. Hold on. The next 90 minutes is going to be amazing.
Yes. And remember, all of us are reachable. We are not untouchable. So when Anna drops our LinkedIn URL in the comments, the other Anna, if you want to connect with her, go on ahead and send her a connection request. If you are on your mobile device, click more, personalized invite, OMG, NA. The knowledge you dropped today on that live with the Job Connection Tuesday Collective was amazing. I'd love to get in touch with you. If you are on the desktop version, right click so you can open in a new tab and you can multitask. You can network while you're listening in the background. Go and get active. That's why over 600 people, oops, I'm dropping stuff. That's why over 600 people RSVP to this event. So they could get the knowledge from these amazing people we are about to bring on. So without any, let me go ahead and bring Scrum Master, Product Owner, Certified Project Management, Women in Project Management Network, Career Coach, and Active Senior IT Program Lead Manager, Anna Anderson. What's up?
Hi, guys. How are you?
All right. Next up. Yes. Thank you for joining us. So next up is engineer turned product manager, Dahlia Ghafir. Tell me if I pronounced that correctly.
Yep, it's Dahlia Ghafir. Hey, everyone.
Hey.
Yes, thank you for joining us. I had to send her a voice note earlier to learn how to properly pronounce her name. For any of those of you who are networking, if you're not sure, ask. People's names are really important to them. Like, people call me Tegan. My name is Tegan. Okay, but anyways, next up, former principal and current senior program manager of a Fortune 2 company, Kathryn Standish. Where you at?
Hi,
Welcome,
everybody.
welcome. All right, last and certainly not least, former director of recruitment and current LinkedIn strategist and career coach, Melanie Mitchell-Wexler. Hello, welcome to the stage. All right, so let me put this out there. Before we dive into everything, just remember the comments and opinions that are going to be shared here today are based on personal insights and opinions, not necessarily reflection of any of the companies that any of us may work for. So with that in mind, my friends, we are going to be dropping some serious tea. So let me go ahead and pop Kathryn up on the big screen. All right. So as someone who transitioned into this industry, I'm sure everyone is dying to know what the heck is program management? How did you get into it? And, whatever you really want to share.
Sure. So I guess I'll start a little bit with my background and then from there transition into why I looked into moving into program or project management and kind of my path into how I transitioned. So I am an educator by training, and all of my previous experience professionally was in the K-12 educational space. So I was a classroom teacher for 4 years, and then I moved into school leadership and administration. And I was in a school leader administrative role for approximately 10 years. And I really loved that. Really believe a lot in public education, still do. But about, I don't know, maybe 6 years ago, I started taking on projects for the school districts that I was working for. Everything from, I worked for a charter school and we opened a new middle school and then planned a high school, and that was a big project. To things like technology integration projects or adopting the Common Core state standards, things like that. And what I found was that I really liked the project work and wanted to move away kind of like from the day-to-day operations of running a school building because I was doing both things and wearing both hats at the same time. And that was a little bit, um, I just wanted to change. So in January of this year, January 2022, I started kind of thinking about like what a path to a career outside of education might look like. And then um, in April, I decided I really needed to kind of get serious if I was going to try and find a role before the start of the new school year in a different field. I needed to have like a very clear path and a clear plan of what I was going to be doing to try and pivot out of the K 12 education space and into a different industry. So the first thing I did was I signed up for the Google Project Management certification class, just based on like my reflections of like what I liked about my job, which was like seeing a project through from start to finish. I'm really good at organizing systems and people and planning. I like, checklists and checking things off, and I'm a list person. So it seemed like that was going to be project management was going to be a good fit for me. So I signed up for that class. And then I really quickly realized that I could upskill on my own, but that I needed guidance about how to transition if I was going to do it quickly and I was going to do it efficiently. And so I went on to Dan's group, Job Collective Tuesdays, and I messaged him and I said, "Hey, Dan, I'm trying to break into project management. Do you have any coaches that you recommend working with?" And Dan connected me with Anna Anderson, who's here on the call. And so I did like a 30-minute kind of introductory call with her just to learn about her program, and decided that I really wanted to work with Anna. I felt like working with a coach was going to be the fastest way for me to transition to a new type of role. And that working with a coach, I mean, that's kind of like how I learn. As a learner, I like to have someone who's showing me what to do, teaching me the steps, and then try them out on my own. So I worked with Anna. I started with her in April of this year, and she has a really great network where you're working with other women who are also looking to transition into project management. She has a library of resources. She helped me with my resume, um, lots of different things. And so her program was a really great fit for me because it allowed me to be connected as much as I wanted to with the resources and meetings that she had planned, coaching sessions, or back off if I had something else going on. So it was a really good fit for my lifestyle. I was still working in the schools at that time. I have 3 young children, including a 6-month-old. So Anna's program let me like bring my kids to my coaching sessions. They were often like breastfeeding on a call or half naked on a call or making dinner or whatever. So it was a great fit for me. And um, I started applying to companies and kind of getting bites, I would say within a few weeks. Um, and then um, I sort of decided to target a specific company, which is where I landed, and a specific role within that company. So I didn't apply for 10 jobs there. I applied for one job. And I really spent a lot of time preparing for my interview process for that one specific role. Um, I would say I probably spent like 80 hours studying the culture of that company, studying the principles that guide them, preparing star stories that were aligned with those principles, doing mock interviews um, with Anna, with other women in the network. Dan also did a session with me, um, and just refining those stories so that they were really specifically tailored for the company that I was going to be interviewing with. And in the meantime, I interviewed other places as well, but ended up landing that role that I wanted at that company. And it's a program management role. So um, it's a great fit for my skill set. It requires me everything I did as an elementary principal. I'm in like week 6 of my job. Um, Everything that I did as an elementary principal, I do now. I just do with different people. So instead of working with teachers on submitting documents that they or helping and supporting, coaching them, I'm working with stakeholders, internal stakeholders at the company where I'm at. So um, my skills were really translatable to working in program management. And I think that the things I learned with Anna and everything, my interview prep, um, really helped me to be prepared for the transition into that role.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. For those of you who are just tuning in, she just shared how she transitioned from being an administrator in K through 12 to being a program manager at one of the top companies that there is in the United States. 80 hours of interview prep, going through a coaching program to upskill, mapping out a strategic plan to execute a job search strategy that didn't have her applying to hundreds of positions, that had her strategically apply to one that she got an offer at and is 6 weeks in. So for tons of the questions that are already tuning in about how do you break in? What do you need to know? What are these transferable skills? Listen, because she just dropped some major gems for everyone to share. So next up, I want to bring to the stage Dahlia. Let me move your position. Okay, so you started off as an engineer and then became a product manager. So, girl, go ahead and spill the beans.
Yeah. First of all, I want to thank Tegan for organizing this. I'm super excited to be here today. A little bit about my background. So I have an undergraduate degree in mechanical engineering, and then a master's degree in systems engineering. So very engineering heavy background. I started working as a systems engineer in the defense industry right out of college. And I stayed in this role for just under 5 years before I started recognizing that I was really ready for my next challenge. When I started the job search process, I quickly kind of realized that the term systems engineering was primarily used in the defense industry. And I had recognized that I was ready for an industry shift, just a new challenge. So I kind of started doing what I do. I went to town, I started researching different roles, different companies, you name it. And then through my research, I had stumbled upon product management. And I know that this is, at least for me, kind of a new field, a new term altogether. But the more that I researched it, it felt like a perfect fit for me. It was a perfect transition for the skills that I had grown as a systems engineer. So I started the job search journey on my own, and it can be a very daunting process, especially with a career change or an industry shift. So I quickly learned that I couldn't do this job search process on my own, and I used the LinkedIn feature to find coaches to help with resume writing. And that's how I met Melanie Wexler, who is on this call here. And I enlisted her help for both the application and the interview process. I started off with just kind of the resume, crafting and writing. And then once I started getting interviews, I worked with Melanie more also to prep for my interviews, craft my stories. So we worked very closely together. While Melanie and I were working on my resume, after we kind of got it to a good spot, Melanie actually connected me to a few recruiters that she knew. Throughout the interview process, like I said, Melanie and I worked together. Ultimately, I ended up receiving an offer for a product manager position, and I have been in this role for almost four months now, and I'm loving it so far. And then to get into why I chose product management. Like I said, I'm an engineer. I have a love for technology. I wanted to stay close to technology while still kind of harnessing the skills that I had learned as a systems engineer. So I kind of view product management and my role as the apex between program managers and engineers. With the program managers I work to identify, pain points, what our business is having, where we can improve technology, simplify workflows, and kind of translating these needs from a business perspective into a technology perspective, and then working very closely with the engineers in translating into, tech speak, so to say. So like I said, I have a very tech oriented background, and I really wanted to still use these skills, but I also wanted to make sure that I was in a very people focused role, so that I could kind of use both my soft and my hard skills.
I love this, and I hope everybody else is seeing a common theme here. Both of these badass ladies had clarity. They had a village. They went above and beyond when it came to research and interview prep. And they also had strong women empowering them and opening doors for them. So if you're a fella, don't worry. We'll open doors for you to make introductions. You are welcome here. But in an industry that is heavily dominated by men, ladies, we got to stick together. So with that, I'm starting to see some questions coming in about certifications. Now, Miss Anna here, I'm going to call her the Anna. I'm going to call the other Anna Morgan. So the Anna, you have a collections of certifications. So first, I am totally curious because this is my first time meeting you. But that is the power of community, people. If you are not in the Job Connection Tuesday Collective, get in there because you can meet complete strangers. Okay, I want to know about your background, but I also, please explain to me, Scrum, PMP, all of the other things in between. Where should people even focus at? How long does it take?
Yeah.
Spill it.
Okay. Thank you so much, Tegan. Nice to finally meet you in person. I've seen you on LinkedIn and you do amazing things on this platform. So thank you for inviting me, as well as Anna Morgan. So thank you. And great stories, Kathryn and Dahlia. And also nice to meet you, Melanie. My name is Anna Anderson, and I am a program manager in a tech company. I am also a project manager career strategist. I started this on my own quest when I was looking for a role 6 years ago. I had been at a company where I felt I was being underpaid and underappreciated. So I thought maybe it was my opportunity to start looking out. And I just started documenting my journey. And honestly, it was rigorous. I had like 78 applications out there with tons of denials. Finally, I got my yes. And during my journey, when I finally found my yes, I got 3 yeses at the same time. And that time, nobody was working from home. So I had to pick one to go to the office and all that stuff. And my friends and some relatives were like, "What did you do? How did you do it?" And that started my journey in documenting some of the things that have helped me also support other women land their jobs as project managers. So I'm happy that Kathryn was part of my community. We miss her. We miss Oliver coming to our community because it was fun to see her kids. It's just, it's a family thing. So all of us are moms or women who are trying to get the best out of what we can offer into these opportunities that are offered out here. So thank you so much. Okay, to certifications. So there are tons of certifications out there. And to be honest with you, personally, I've been a project within the project management space for 17 years now, and I just got my PMP last year. So disclaimer out there, I failed it the first time, and then I just did it last year, and then I finally passed. But certifications are great. Certifications are they are not only open the door for you, but they also showcase that you have the knowledge and understanding of the field that you're working in. So be aware of the certifications that you want. So whether you want a PMP, whether you want a CSM, whether you want a CSPO, and PMP stands for Project Management Professional, you can go over to pmi.org and check out all the certifications that you want. Now, there's different qualifications that you need to have to get your certifications. You just can't go there and apply and get the certification. You have to have 35 hours of professional development, study that and also apply for it. For example, the PMP, you have to had a practicing project manager for 3 years to even qualify to get the certification. You can get the CAPM, which is the Certified Associate Project Manager. That one only requires you to do the 35 hours. So please visit pmi.org to find out the different types of certifications. When it it comes to Scrum, I personally got my certification from Scrum Alliance. There's also scrum.org. So I got my Scrum Master certification, which is the CSM. I also have the Advanced Scrum Master certification, as well as the Certified Scrum Product Owner certification. My organization at that time was transitioning from waterfall type work into working into some type of Scrum framework where you're doing things incrementally and iteratively. And they wanted us to be certified in that so that we can understand what goes behind when you're leading a project utilizing the Scrum framework. So again, visit scrumalliance.org for the CSM, which is the Certified Scrum Master, or scrum.org for the PSM. A couple of people have the Professional Scrum Master certification. One disclaimer though, you do not need to have a certification to get your role. Tons of people are practicing project managers, practicing program managers out there without the project management professional certification. Why? Because they're able to transfer their skills from their previous roles. Like for example, Kathryn will share with you that she transferred her skills as an elementary school principal and brought those into her program manager role. Now, she's probably at some point gonna pursue her PMP at some point, gonna pursue her CSM at some point, but her skills are the ones that got her the role. Her practicing for the interview are the ones that got her the role. So I just don't want people to say, oh my gosh, now I'm not gonna get my role. Please go ahead and apply. Please go ahead and network with recruiters and hiring managers and talent sources out there who would be able to support you in your next opportunity. So just quickly again, certifications help validate your existing skills and experience because they make you stand out, and also they make you be seen and seen as an expert in the field that you're working in. So thank you so much, Tegan.
So I don't know about you guys, but my head is spinning. Somebody said in the comments that it sounds like I'm yelling. I turned my volume down on my mic. I have a Blue Yeti, so it's got a really good speaker noise picker-upper thingy. So if it still sounds like I'm yelling, let me know and I'll turn it down more. But seriously, all those certifications, it is, as you just heard, there is no one right way to go about it. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to have a certification to break into this industry. You can leverage your transferable skills, your love for whatever niche you're going into, like technology or a certain type of product or company or mission or values. And that is enough to get you the role. Because when you have that clarity, when you put in the work, when you upskill, when you believe in yourself and confidently articulate yourself in an interview as to why you will be an asset to this job, the type of value that you will bring into this program or organization, magic happens. And I'm sure the next person I'm going to bring up to the stage, let me move things around, probably look ridiculous staring at all these screens. Okay, so next up is former recruiter and director of recruitment, Melanie, who knows exactly what hiring managers and companies look for. So what tips do you have for the crowd? I mean, you can take it anywhere you want. Oh, wait, unmute yourself. No. Okay, so at the bottom, there's like a little toggle, and you should be able to click on it. It's settings, and then change the input. See, for all those of you going into a tech project management role, this is the type of stuff you run into.
I heard something.
No, oh no! And I'm so curious as to what you have to say. Okay, you play around with that. And in the meantime, we will keep it moving. If you get your audio back, let us know because we want to hear. So I used to be a former recruiter and did recruit for project managers. And I currently am in partnership with 7 different staffing agencies that are more so in the tech space when it comes to project or program management. And from what I've seen is you have to and it's ironic because in so many different industries, being a jack of all trades is a bad thing. But in project management, you have to have a full breadth of the business scope when it comes to being able to manage budgets, timelines. It's like herding cats. And so anything that you can do to showcase that you can be effective in all these different areas where things go wrong, that you're the one that can put out the fires and to get the team on board and to gain that trust amongst the various stakeholders to get things done, magic happens. So while we're waiting for Melanie to get volume back, hopefully soon, let's go ahead and talk about some of our favorite tips for job seekers, because there's about a couple hundred people on this live right now, and they're probably all searching for work. So I'm going to bring the Anna back to the stage and hear what you have to say and tell us a little bit more about how you support job seekers in their job search. Full transparency, you do not need a career coach to be able to get a job, but if you can invest in yourself, it's just like anything else. The ROI, it's
Totally
unmatched.
worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, thank you, Tegan. And yeah, full disclosure, if you can do it by yourself, totally go ahead and do it. There's tons of resources out there on the internet. There's tons of resources on Google, YouTube. There's tons of platforms out there, even on LinkedIn, that you can utilize and find free information. So totally nobody's trying to sell you anything. But if you can join a community that can support you, because for me personally, I started putting together stuff that I have created a library where I work with my clients to help them with their resume, to help them with their LinkedIn that are project management focused, to help them with their job search strategy, to help them with their interview prep, which is huge in landing your job. So one of the tips, number one for me, is of course after you've done your marketing documents, in my opinion, which are your LinkedIn and your resume, you start getting traction from recruiters, hiring managers, or people who look like they or feel like you are a great fit for the opportunity, including staffing agencies and stuff like that. So once you get that, it's important to start understanding what can you bring to the table. One thing that I see in the beginning with a lot of people that I've even been in contact with outside of some of the women in my communities, everybody wants to apply for each and every job out there. Sometimes it could be overwhelming when you start applying for each and every job out there. So find your niche industry, or find the specific area you want to quickly focus on. So if it's healthcare, if it's tech, if it's whatever industry that it is, education, technology, try and find that, because you start seeing common keywords, common things that are on the job description that you can speak to. That's one of the things that I want you. So I don't want people to just go all over the place and start applying for. Today I'm applying for a pharmaceutical job, which the job description, some of the lingo in there it's not something that you're familiar with. Tomorrow education, tomorrow technology, tomorrow healthcare. Try and find a specific area you want to focus on, and then understand some of your skills that you bring to the table. So when you're looking at those job descriptions, what are some of the things that you have and some of the things that you don't have? All of us, we are not going to be 100% fit for the role. Most of us are 60% fit for the role. Go ahead and apply. But look at some of those things on the job description. Can I do them? And then the things that you can do, start working on them. LinkedIn is a great platform with tons of free courses that you can start taking. For example, if you're trying to start getting into project management, take Project Management Foundations. It's a 3-hour, 20-minute course. You don't have to take it in one sitting. You can take it when you're doing laundry. You can take it when you're going for a walk. It's just you start understanding what goes into budgets, what goes into requirements, what goes into estimating, what goes into procurement, all those things, and start what goes into stakeholder management. So you start hearing the same lingo over and over again, so that you can speak to it during your interview and also translate that during your job description. So that's one way. Another way you can do it as well.
And I think
So
that kind of answers this question. So the question is, seems like a catch situation. Experience with education or education without experience, and there's no entry as a manager with an expectation to know how to manage the project. So like she just said, LinkedIn Learning, take these classes. They're free. And then there's even paid for ones. And so for everybody else who's really feeling like it's a catch-22 experience, a situation, but I don't have the experience or I don't have the education, what do you say to that as a coach?
When they say what? I'm sorry, Tegan, I didn't hear that.
When they say, but I don't have the education or I don't have the experience, it's a catch-22. I want to do this, but I'm never going to be able to get into it.
Yeah.
And
so
because sometimes as job seekers, we get so down. We
Mhm,
cannot see anything else but the doom and gloom. So go ahead and spread that light and say,
yeah.
here's the
I
path.
feel like all of us, we have experience. I feel like whether you're a teacher, whether you're I've had ladies come into the community who have been dental assistants. But what are some of the things that you can bring to the table? For example, some of your soft skills of communication, your soft skills of leadership, conflict management, you're negotiating, you're being adaptable, you're collaborating. All of these are soft skills that most of the time, if you look at the job descriptions, that's what they're describing. Now, what are some of those hard skills that you can bring to the table? Those are things that you need to learn. For example, learn about risk management, learn about vendor management, stakeholder management, stakeholder engagement. Learn about some of those things, and so that you can incorporate them and mix them with your soft skills and bring them to your interview. To be honest with you, most of the time, and I know Dan says this a lot, are you going to be a culture fit or a culture add? And those are things that a lot of people try to be like, oh my gosh, I don't have this. I have to wait for my certification. I have to wait to finish for school. I have to wait to do all these things. But your experience is already in that job description. Your experience that you're going to bring, even if it's 60% of your experience, you're going to bring to that job description. So if you prep for your interview, you're able to answer the questions based on that interview that you're going to be being interviewed for, you're going to get that opportunity. So let's not be too hard on ourselves. I think there's opportunities for all of us out there.
I love that. Thank you for sharing, Anna. And let's go ahead and see if we've got volume.
Is that working now?
No.
Yes.
Goodness. What the heck? It doesn't show. What is wrong with the audio?
Wait, I think we can hear you.
I can
Did
hear
you.
you.
Say what is going on?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you. It kind of sounds like you're a little far away, but that's okay. We will all intently listen. So, as a former, talk again.
Is that, how's that?
We can hear you.
Okay, perfect. They said we can hear you. You know, being
Okay.
a career coach, being a former director of recruitment, what do you got for us?
Yes, sorry about that. I'm not a tech says it's not on mute. You just have to figure it out and grab your phone and get online. So yeah, so I was a recruiter for over 20 years, and I actually made coaching back full time in 2017. Let me move this where it's not in the light. And one of the things that I would tell people, and you've heard this through both Kathryn as well, is the fact that they did their research. That's the first and foremost. They understood what they were looking for. And when I was working with Dahlia, that was one of the biggest things. Dove into that resume and really figured out each and every single one of her bullet points to her longer term goals and translated that. And I would tell you that's what to be looking for. They're going to be looking for that how do you translate experience into the world that you're looking, or into the position that you're looking to. I think we heard that as well with Kathryn. She came from education, where some people might say, well, not really project management. No, you have to look for every single instance area that you could even if you feel like you're like maybe hitting the barrel for examples, you have to be able to do that. And I think what in working not only with Dahlia but other clients of mine as well, one was really having the right attitude. And I talk a lot about this when I work at is very much a big key in going to be your success, especially. And so client, hiring managers, recruiters are not only looking for those transferable skills. Did you do the legwork? Do you know what you're talking about? You have to do the research. Did a lot of time together in making sure that Dahlia was successful throughout, and that she really did take that time to craft that story. And this was all while and juggling her her full-time position at that time. And so key, those would be the biggest keys I would tell you. Knowing your transferable skills, but also having the right mindset, because I'm not going to sit here and lie and say it'll be easy times, but when you approach it in the right manner, you'll see success.
Mhm.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, so we were originally going to bring Anna Morgan up to ask a couple of questions, but I saw one that I really want Kathryn to answer because she shared in her intro that she did Google's program. So let me find this question over here, but it was basically like, do you feel that going to project management boot camps are worth it? And what would you have to say to that?
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to be honest and say I never finished the Google certification. I started it as and I think that it was really good because it gave me a good foundational knowledge and a baseline of what my understanding of project management was. Um, but then when I was prioritizing what was more important, spending time understanding and preparing for interviews or spending time completing the certification, I felt like my time was better spent ensuring that I was really prepared for my interviews. So I ended up kind of not continuing with that certification course. Um, I think that anything that you do in terms of a certification or a boot camp or whatever, I mean, it's all about how you can apply that to your interview questions and to the company that you're going to be working with. And it's all about being able to communicate. Like, I could have every certification under the sun, but if I can't communicate to someone on the other end of an interview how that applies to the role that I'm going to be filling, or how my experiences are transferable to their company, that certification isn't necessarily going to help you.
Mhm.
It may open the door to get you into an interview, but it's not going to land you the job.
Mhm.
So, my viewpoint, just my personal opinion, is that it's more important to have very strong understanding of yourself and your strengths and the strengths that you bring to a company and how that translates to the role you're trying to pivot into, versus having letters after your name.
The chat is on fire with loving your honesty. So I really appreciate your transparency there and that advice. So now I'm going to bring up Anna Morgan, my co-host today. She's been holding it down in the comments, making sure everybody's taken care of. Anna, what's been going on? I've been trying to sneak peek, but I've also been listening intently.
This has been really fantastic for my ADHD and rabbit brain trying to follow along. But these ladies are dropping. I mean, that was just a mic drop moment, Kathryn, as far as, we can get all the certifications in the world, but if we tune into ourselves and know our worth and practice those stories and be able to communicate them, we're kind of spinning our wheels. And that complements perfectly what Melanie said about, being in that mindset, and then all the wisdom that Anna Anderson shared. But we've answered a lot of the questions about the certifications. There were specific questions of how does one go from a coordinator position into a project manager type of role, and then Tegan put up here a certification question. Gretchen had asked, are there project management positions that are not tech? She said, I love project don't think I would enjoy a tech-heavy job. And Anna Anderson had mentioned some other industries. I believe she said healthcare, and feel free to jump in. That would answer that question, right?
Yeah. A lot of people think that when they hear technology project manager, they're gonna be pulling apart central processing units and figuring out what's under there and all that stuff. That's not it. I really want people to understand that as your role as a program or a project manager, number one, you're managing a project. Number one is a small. It has a beginning and an end. So you're not going to be doing the project forever, or else it becomes operational. You're moving it into the production or product team and stuff like that. So you as a project manager, you're either managing a single project. Sometimes you can manage multiple projects at the same time. There's different phases of the project. So if you understand project management, you go from initiation to planning to execution to monitoring, controlling, and closing. But different organizations, depending on whatever methodology you're using, you can either use waterfall, you can either use agile, and within that case, maybe you're doing some type of other frameworks, maybe Scrum, Kanban, and all that stuff. But as a technical project manager, maybe you're working on some type of software or some type of upgrade or some type of SaaS product. What are some of the things that you need to do? You're working with your team as the lead, so you're the lead of the project, but then you have maybe a business analyst, you have development people, you have QA people on there who are going to be testing. So there's a little bit of that stuff. You as a project manager, your job is to make sure the project is within budget, within schedule, and you have the resources that you need. Yes, projects are going to have ups and downs. There's no way a project always ends just like that, like linear like this. Sometimes you have resources who are tied to other projects as well. So you have resource constraints or maybe some scope creep. You are managing all of that, whether it's a technology project, whether it's some type of other project, maybe just the department that you're working for, it's an IT department, and that's why you have that title of IT project manager. So I really want people just not to be nervous when they get an opportunity, or maybe a recruiter reaches out to them saying, hey, you look like a great fit, but then it's an IT project manager, and then people start getting nervous. Oh my gosh, I can't do this. Nope, it says IT. No, you're not. Please go for that opportunity. Go ahead
Right.
and learn, and then if it's a great fit for you, then you can continue from there. But don't panic, because all of us, we have the skills that we can bring to the table to manage some of these projects assigned to us.
And this has come up a couple times, and I would look to Anna Anderson or Melanie to maybe answer this, or anyone jump in. But how would you actually define the difference between project, program, and project, program, and product manager? Obviously we can look up the definitions and reverse engineer it, but does anyone have an easy way to explain that to the 100+ people that are with us today? Jump in.
Nothing like being thrown in the hot seat, but I brought you up here because you're the only product manager. So what does that mean?
Yeah, so I can talk to product management, and I kind of touched on this in terms of why I chose it. Product management to me stays a little bit closer to the technology itself. So I knew that my skills, for example, as a systems engineer, I was able to define requirements and identify pain points, and kind of be more of an expert on the technology or the product itself. And that doesn't mean that I am an engineer or I am the one that's actually going to make the changes in that technology, but I'm the one that's going to be able to translate, the business needs into what the product needs itself. So to me, at least in my job search and my experience so far, is staying a little bit closer to just, again, translating those needs into the technology, how we can fill those needs, rather than focusing on a project from end to end. It's more so on the product itself, which is probably going to have a longer kind of shelf life there.
Okay, so if that's what product is, then Kathryn, can you speak to what program is?
Sure. So in my view, like my role, I manage multiple projects. So, and they all fall under the same umbrella or kind of fit within a larger body of work. So if you're thinking about like they maybe all have a common theme. So if you were to look at like, in my view, program management, like there's like a tapestry of projects that all fit together, and I manage all of those projects from end to end, kind of over a period of time.
So
Where
you're like the mom.
yeah, like project management is often one project, and it's maybe shorter term, where it's time boxed, where you're working within a certain time frame, or for the completion of a certain output, right? But my program that I'm managing is happening over a longer period of time, and it involves multiple projects that are all connected or like interwoven together.
Mhm.
Awesome. And then, okay. Melanie, from a recruit standpoint, how do recruiters look at this, figuring out what kind of transferable skills that they'll look for to take someone who doesn't have? Because Anna keeps talking about you don't have to have a linear career. You can use those transferable skills. Her clients, your clients, do it every day. So how do recruiters and hiring managers look at someone from a non-traditional background, how to use those skills to translate? Okay, so if it's technology product, you having a technology background, well, that makes sense. You know, coming from a principal and managing all of these different projects throughout, you know, the school district, that makes sense for program. But for other people who can't see it for themselves, what do you have to say?
So I think a lot of what we've talked about, have you ever been responsible for a budget? Like that's first and foremost. Have you been, I'm going to break this down in kind of some really lower level, and then you get more into the higher aspects. But have you been responsible for a budget? Have you been responsible for a timeline of a certain result, whether that be a specific, launch, a launch of a, maybe you were with, having some sort of, or helping organize the efficiency of, us worked with a lovely woman who is looking to probably get into HR project management. There's lots of different, that could be about, diversity, and about, software implementation. So being able to kind of break and then start to go and really focus. And again, this is some of the research, is look at those key words that are being used in job descriptions. Even if it's not a job that you would necessarily apply for, start descriptions, and what are the words and the phrases that are being used. I guarantee you, there's not, writing job descriptions is not as, it's still lack. But so there's not a lot of originality out there, folks. But said, it really does. You'll see the same repetitive phrases in your organization that you need to be able to kind of weave similar types of phrases in there. It's under your skills section, project management. Now we need to take that skills section. Where did you do this? How did you do this? What was the outcome? And if you start thinking, it's not easy, it's sometimes, I have to sometimes press my clients to really think about. One of my approaches, honestly, is when I first do a mock, literally just say, tell me about your career. Just talk to me about your career. Talk to me about the things that you get used to speaking to that. And then I will point out, well, what about this? Let's talk a little. So that's really what the recruiters are going to be looking for, at least initially, is does the highlights that you provided, can they translate to what they're looking? You can kind of see that picture, then that's also going to be a big key. But I would also this here as well, but I would also encourage you to network. I would also encourage, don't be afraid to reach out to hiring managers and recruiters, but make sure when you're doing that, you're focused on building relationships and not just being transactional in that process, because, which is one of the things that I, did with Dahlia, was I literally to multiple recruiters that I knew, because I knew she was I knew she had to her a level of expertise, and I knew she'd be a strong candidate for that. So is how can you help that person, and not just how are you going to help me?
I love that. And I would love to ask Anna Morgan to piggyback off of that a little bit on the fly. So Anna, you had just mentioned your ADHD brain is all over the place trying to manage all the content, comments and listen. And so regardless if someone is neurodivergent or not, when we are preparing for our job search, we just heard from everybody how important the structure, the discipline, the above and beyond, and the systems being put in place. So what would you recommend people who are wanting to pivot or level up in this industry? Because it really doesn't matter what industry it is, the advice is industry agnostic. Can people do to gain the confidence that they need to get organized in their job search and to really feel empowered to pull those stories out of themselves and to track them, so that way they can use it during the interview?
Absolutely. It's all about setting that foundation, right? And we've hit on it earlier, where it's about having that clarity in the path forward, right? I think a lot of us coaches can see job seekers, constantly switching gears. I call it the job search cha-cha, where, it's 2 step forwards, 2 step backwards. And that's part of the process, but having that clarity, one, and then doing that career inventory where you're looking at, like Melanie was saying, tell me about your career. Like, so much of the light bulb moments is when, I'm asking curious questions, which is helpful being a recruiter for 15 years and now a recruiter as well, is that, I ask those curious questions. And then we start, adding more of these stories that are, this was the problem that they solved. These were the steps that they took. This is how much money they saved the company, or how they allowed their boss to, get out of the office earlier and volunteer on the T-ball team. There's all different types of stories that we can pull from doing that career inventory that will allow us, when we are looking at a job description that, like Melanie said, are subpar at best a lot of the time. And I always feel for job seekers, because they are like, picking them apart like an FBI agent, trying to figure out what is best to customize the resume or how to prepare for an interview. And it's been talked about in the comments a little bit, and in this conversation, is that we want to learn and adopt the language of the program, product, or project managers that we hope and dream to work with. So spend less time analyzing and editing, and spend more time building relationships and plugging into their brain and learning in the ins and outs of the problems that they solve. And then you can come back and connect those dots. And that is what builds that confidence. But you have to know where you've been and know what your assets and your liabilities and your opportunities are, so that you can, execute that interview, have those awesome informational conversations that will be catalysts to incredible opportunities, like many of the women here have landed. So I think that answers the question.
It sure does. But I see one more question that I think Anna, the other Anna, can piggyback off of. Because some people hear, okay, you need to do all this research and have the strategy, but at the end of the day, you still need a resume. It's not going to be the decision maker, but it's just a foundational document. And you had mentioned that you have a course on resume writing for project managers. And so the question here is, I've tailored my resume and cover letter and not had much luck, even with a certification, taking LinkedIn Learning. So what are some suggestions when it comes to, because we all know on this stage, if you have a solid resume, it's because you can concisely articulate the value in your career stories like Anna Morgan just explained. And so even if we think we have a good resume, it may not be what recruiters or hiring managers think are good enough on paper to actually have a conversation with you. And so tell me, what are your tips and tricks on writing a project management resume when you're transitioning into the field of project management, product management, or program management?
Yeah. So thanks, Tegan, and thanks for the question. So one of the things that you want to make sure that you are putting on your resume as project managers, they hire us to manage projects to help the organizations make money, save money, improve processes. So what are some of those things that you can bring to your resume? A lot of us talk about, start putting in, maybe just put the job description and plaster it on their resume. That's not going to do it. You want to make sure you break it down. So what did you do? How did you do it? And what was the outcome? Google has a great article out there about the XYZ format. So showcase, you led a team, you led a project with a budget of $5 million that helped the organization migrate from a legacy system to a SaaS product and save the organization maybe $50,000. So quickly you've shared that you can manage a budget. Quickly you've shared that you saved the organization money, or maybe you made the organization money. So those are the things you want to share on there. A lot of us, again, as I said, we've just plastered in the job description, which a lot of people, it's not going to make you different from the other person. A lot of people also have their job description as very generic. So I will say I helped a project, help save the organization and within budget. The other person says the same thing. The other person says the same thing. What's going to make you unique from the other person who did the same role as you, that will make you stand out in the job market? So that's what a lot of people are looking at, that a lot of us fail to put on our resume. So for the person who asked that question, feel free to send me your resume. I'm happy to look at it and just give you a little bit of feedback if there's any that I can share with you, because maybe there's just a little bit of things that you said. Maybe you said you've done LinkedIn Learning, you've done your PMP, you've done your resume, you've done your cover letter. Certainly there's probably something on there that's missing, that you're probably a lot of recruiters and hiring managers are not just getting it. So feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I don't know who it was, but feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn and I'll be able to look at it.
And
That's
that,
so-
my friends, is the power of the Job Connection Tuesday Collective. Good people know good people. And despite the majority of us on this screen having businesses or side hustles where we charge people for this to accelerate your success, and again emphasizing the return on investment is just bananas. The other two people who aren't in this type of business can attest to. It is powerful. So take her up on that. Anna Morgan, every single third Thursday of the month, hosts a ladies' night. Gentlemen, you're welcome. It just happens that she gets together with a group of ladies to offer career coaching where they do resume reviews as well. And so for those of you in the comments thinking like, I can't pay for this, take us up on our offer. Do not let that pride get in your way to your growth. Now, after the resume typically comes the interview. So I would love to bring Dahlia and Kathryn back on stage just to ask you, what did the interview prep process look for you? What were some of the major tips that you could offer someone else to really get the results that you did? And just what were those key things that pushed you over the edge?
Prep. I can't emphasize preparation enough. You can't just go into an interview and wing it. You need to research the company. What values does the company have? The company that I work for in particular has a couple like leadership principles that they really focus on. So it was making sure that I was coming to the table with stories prepared for that particular company's principles that they're looking for in all of their candidates. I was lucky enough to be able to work with Melanie. If you can work with a coach, I would highly recommend it, because I think it pushes you to think outside of like I was mostly thinking in terms of just my job experience, and Melanie kind of pushed me to think about experience with my master's or my undergraduate degree, or my personal experience that I can bring to the table. So even if you can't work with a coach, work with a friend, a family member, to be able to talk through some of those stories. I know that we've also mentioned the STAR format, coming to the table with these stories organized in a very straightforward format for the interviewer to be able to follow: situation, task, action, and result. And I can't emphasize result enough. When you're talking about your own experience, you don't just want to talk about your responsibilities, because someone can look up your responsibilities in a job description online. They want to hear the impact that you've made, the situation, but what did you do with that situation? What was the result what was the outcome of that task that you were working on? So again, just really making sure that you're coming to the table. I get nervous in interviews. I get a little stage fright sometimes. So coming to the table really prepared, I think made me successful in my interviews, because I was confident in what I was coming to the table with, and I wasn't just like winging it on the fly. Of course, there are going to be follow-up questions and things like that you kind of have to think on your feet. But again, I can't emphasize preparation enough, and working with someone if you're able to.
Thank you. Kathryn, what about you?
Yeah, I would say I definitely agree with what Dahlia said. I shared earlier, I prepared a lot of hours for the role that I landed. That involved, I had an Excel spreadsheet, which I shared on my LinkedIn, and I will share with whomever. If you want to connect with me on there, I've shared this publicly, where I listed like interview questions, and then I actually kind of like scripted out my star response for those questions. I also added a column to that where it was an L, like a star L, and like what did you learn, or maybe like what would you do differently from that? Because I think that interviewers want to hear you reflect on your experience, and understand how you maybe could have even improved more from the result that you achieved. Um, Kind of strategies during an interview. So I made giant posters and hung them on my wall that had my metrics on them so that I wouldn't get my numbers mixed up when I was interviewing. And so it would just be like a quick bullet point, and then I could like kind of look off into space and think, but really be kind of scanning my poster while I was thinking.
I
Um,
need everybody to click on that laugh emoji right now,
well,
because
it
that is
worked. I mean, my interview was
hilarious.
so long,
We're cut
6
from the same
hours, and
cloth.
you're gonna
Yeah.
get mixed up. So
Yeah.
and then the other thing that I did was, like, I would sometimes pause and say, "Is it okay with you if I take a minute to think about my response?" And then I would think. Or I might say, like, midway through a question, if I felt like I wasn't maybe getting what I wanted from the person on the other end, I would pause and I would say, "Hey, I just want to check in with you. Are you getting what you need from this response? Am I answering the question the way you intended?" And then if I was, great, keep going. And if I'm not, I don't waste 5 whole minutes talking before they have to ask a clarifying question. So that was a good tip. Um, if I was kind of like struggling, I can recall one specific question where like I didn't have a great answer, and I thought about it. And then I said, I'm going to answer this, and I'm not sure it's going to fit exactly what you're looking for, but I think this is my best response. And I just went with like what my best response was. And then I also didn't try to be anyone except for myself. Like I've interviewed for positions where I've been trying to kind of portray something or someone or what I thought they wanted. And the role I landed, I just was myself. I responded. I used education jargon, like I talked about, like, okay, my customer in this situation is a parent. My customer in this situation is a teacher, so that I was being authentic. And I think that that really helped as well, because they got to understand, yes, I obviously have a different background. I work for a technology based company. I'm not a technical background. They know that, right? They still wanted to meet me. They still wanted to interview me. I still made it to the final round. So it didn't seem to me that it was important to be too project management heavy in my jargon. I could just be myself and respond in a way that was authentic.
Mhm.
So
Wow,
Can I
that's
ask
so
a
interesting.
follow-up question, Tegan? Because
Yeah.
I wanted to hit on just something with Kathryn that I think a lot of people struggle with is the first time that you paused in the interview and asked for that, or actually it was more of a commanding kind of confidence, taking control of, having balance in that interview experience. Like, how did that feel the first time you did it? And, obviously you were probably intently watching the person on the other side of the screen. Any other like encouragement that you can give people that are watching? Because I believe so many of us get nervous and
Yeah.
we over talk. And one of the most powerful things, just like in sales, is being comfortable with silence and then making that statement and then stopping.
Yeah. So when I say there was one question in my final interview for the role I landed that I just like did not have an answer to, I literally probably sat on the line with the interviewer for maybe a whole minute, like thinking how I was going to respond. I could either be thoughtful and try to come up with some fit their answer. I could just say, I don't know how to answer that. Sorry. And that didn't seem like a good idea. So that was a little uncomfortable, but I mean, in the end, it's better than not having a response or answering like in a way that's not meaningful for what they're trying to get. I think the other thing that was helpful to me is in my role as a principal or a school administrator, like I did a lot of interviewing where I was on the other side of the table. And so you have to, when you go into an interview, like they want you to succeed, right? They're there to fill a role. They chose you to come to the table to talk to them. So they're not there as like a gotcha. If you're struggling, like it's okay to say like, I need to take a minute to think about this. Or if you're on a virtual interview, like here's a strategy. Hey, I need to take a bio break and take a sip of water or whatever it is, so that you can kind of collect your thoughts because the person on the other end of the line, they want you to land that role. Someone's going to get it. And they picked you out of hundreds,
Yeah.
maybe thousands of applicants. And so be confident in yourself that you're there because you meet their criteria or you had something interesting. And be yourself in the interview because if you're not, when you get into the role, that's going to be a problem, right? They hire who they talk to in the interview. And if you are someone other than who you really are, then you could maybe run into problems down the line because you've not represented yourself properly with the company.
I'm co-signing all of that. Okay, screen. Let's pull this all up. Okay, so my friends, we are close to our time today. So if you are a hiring manager, recruiter, project, program manager, a job seeker, whoever, please join us in the Job Connection Tuesday Collective. This is who sponsored this office hours live today. Dan Roth bringing these powerhouse, badass women to the stage to share with you all of their knowledge to help you land that role that you're really looking for or advance in the career that brings you so much joy. If we didn't get a chance to answer one of your connections, be sure to connect with us on our personal pages. So that way you can send us an individual note if it was person specific. If it's something that you think the entire group can benefit from it, go ahead and drop that a question in the Job Connection Tuesday Collective so that way everybody can get the answer, so everyone can be supported, because if you're wondering it, somebody else is probably wondering it too. And do not be shy. Connect with other people who joined this live today. If you are on your mobile device, scroll down when this event is over, and there will be a networking tab. And you can see all 600 something people who registered for this event. And you can reach out to them if their profile is interesting to you. If you are on the desktop version where it says comments, click on networking. And you can see all the 600 people who attended this event live, replay based on industry, location, alumni, so many different categories where you can find that synergy to really feel comfortable to reach out to them. Because at the end of the day, empower women empower women. And fellas, I'm not going to leave you out. So I'm going to say empower people, good people know good people. So before we go, I want to ask everyone, what is their final thought to leave everyone tuning in with? You're welcome to take it any way you'd like. And so, Anna Morgan, because you are a ride or die for the Job Connection Tuesday Collective, I'm going to ask you to start.
Yes, thank you so much for hosting this, Tegan. It was such a pleasure to share the stage with these amazing, inspiring women. I've learned so much. You know, the golden thread that, you know, I am feeling and that's coming up for me is really, you know, knowing yourself, right? Getting into that clarity space and then surrounding yourself with the winners, right? Like the people that are on the stage that will be of service, that are willing to lift people up and, you know, be vigilant in, you know, building your community here on LinkedIn and other social platforms. Anna Anderson hit on it, on how powerful having community is. We've seen that time and time again in the Job Connection Tuesday. Job seekers have a tough time out there, you know, and having someone to mirror what's going on, to riff, to bounce ideas off of each other, to share, really just elevates the vibration, the energy, gives hope. So, you know, you don't have to job search alone, and that's why we're all here. So it's been a pleasure. Just keep building your community with the winners. And I am your career BFF. Thank you so much, Deacon.
Okay, so Anna, before I bring somebody else up, aside from the third Thursday of every month at 6 p.m. Eastern time, when you volunteer for 90 minutes, how else can people find you?
Yeah, I spend the majority of my time here on LinkedIn. I have, you know, fun stories over on Instagram, Anna at Anna Morgan Career BFF, and I'm also on Facebook and YouTube. I could definitely use like at least 7 more followers on my YouTube channel. So just search my name and you'll find me. I go live every Thursday from my business page, Career BFF, where I share my behind the recruiter curtain concepts, my focused and fulfilling job search strategies, and fabulous self-love, which is my BFF method for job search strategy. Thanks for asking.
Yes. All right. Next up on the screen, it looks like
Oh.
Anna.
Thanks so much for having me here today, Tegan. I truly appreciate it. And thank you, Dan, for letting us use your platform to bring together job seekers and people within the project, product, and program management space. So I truly appreciate that. Mine is just to say, if you see an opportunity that you feel like you're a great fit, please go ahead and apply. Do not underestimate your knowledge. Do not underestimate your skills. All of us have the skills, the knowledge, the expertise that we can bring to the table to manage the projects that have been assigned to us. So if you feel inclined that, hey, project management or program management or product management is what's calling you, start putting in the work so that you can get that role as a product manager, as a program manager, as a project manager. Melanie did mention networking. Networking is huge. It's what has made me meet all of you guys here today, because I wouldn't probably have met you guys if we hadn't networked. So thank you so much. Networking is huge. Reach out to recruiters, hiring managers, talent sources, and or people at organizations you want to work for. Do not underestimate those people, because they're the ones who may be able to reach out to you down the road and say, hey, I talked to you a couple of weeks ago. We have an opening at our company. You know, you look like a great fit and all that stuff. So definitely networking. Do not make it as transactional. Make it a relationship. Build that relationship. And then when it comes to interviews, treat them as a conversation, because as Kathryn said, most of the time, you know, you can find yourself tense because you want that job, but you're also tense because you feel like you want to say the right thing. So make it as a conversation and everything will fall into place. I know for sure that everybody has their yes waiting for them. So if you're applying, don't give up. Thank you.
Thank you. Man, dropping gems. All right, Melanie, how about you, girlfriend?
Yeah. So I think, that I really would give to somebody is really just continue right now for jobs. Start practicing for that interview. You're going to get asked certain questions. Tell us about your background. Tell us tell us a little bit about you. There's general always going to be asked. So you can be practicing right now and build that confidence, build that mindset in there, and you're going to nail that interview. Because I will tell you right now, that's going to be a big to somebody that's looking to pivot in their careers with whatever direction that is if person displays and that knowledge and the research that they've done then that's going to attract that potential employer. And that's what ultimately people are really, somebody that's confident in themselves and that can come in and really nail that. And I think that's remember, job searching isn't just about applying for a job and hoping for much more to it. So I would rather see you apply for less jobs. I know that sounds counterintuitive. Do the work of the research, the networking, the connections, building those will guarantee you that's going to help you much further than applying for a job. You need to break that cycle.
All right. I love it. And how can people find you?
So most of the time I am on LinkedIn. So you can definitely reach out to me. Please. My company page is Find, Succeed, Achieve. So you can always check out that, feel free to connect with me. I also run a room on Clubhouse, that social audio app, where on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, which is on call, where we answer your questions. And so please feel free to come and be more than happy to answer them for you.
Awesome. And I just realized I forgot to ask Anna Anderson that, and there's people DMing me right now. Well, what about Anna? So Anna, how can people find you in the program?
So you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I do have my next cohort starting on September 6th, so right after the holiday. I only take like 3 to 5 women because still I work full time, but I'll be able to support you if you are interested. So feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn here, and then we can schedule a call. I can understand what your needs are and how I can support you.
All right. Perfect. Thank you. And Dahlia, take it wherever you want to take it.
Sure. So I guess 2 main tips from my job search that I want to share. The first one is, at the beginning of the process when I was working with Melanie on my resume, I think it was most beneficial because I was very active in that process and in that relationship. So if you're having someone work on your resume, don't just pass over your existing resume and say, go forth, and then they send it back to you and that's it. Melanie and I were able to make this a very iterative process, and I know my experience better than Melanie does, and she knows the recruiting side better than I do. So make it a give and take kind of relationship. And then my other thing is reach out to people on LinkedIn. Like everyone here has really emphasized, your network is your net worth, like everyone likes to say. I was able to land an interview just by reaching out to a product manager at a company that I was interested in. We had a conversation and he put in a good word for me with the hiring manager. And I really just reached out because I was curious to hear his experience with the company culture and that kind of thing. So reach out to people. Sometimes you might get ghosted. Some people might not answer you, but sometimes people will, and you never know where that kind of money relationship is going to come from. So continue to reach out. Don't be afraid of that. And yeah, good luck to everyone. It's an exciting journey for sure.
I am such a believer in creating genuine connections, not just like adding a connection or following somebody, but like sliding in those DMs, having a back and forth, jumping on a call. So thank you so much for sharing.
Absolutely.
Okay, and Kathryn, I know you've shared so much already. Do you have anything left in you that you can share? Otherwise, I do have a somewhat selfish question to ask.
Okay, go with this. Well, I'll give you a succinct thing, right?
Okay.
So I would say be prepared, do your research, and be yourself.
I love that. So I got a DM
Uh-oh.
from someone who she's a mom and she just had a new baby too, and she needs to get back to work. And she's asking, how do you juggle it? And so do you have any tips for moms who are trying to juggle going back to the workplace, maybe struggling with childcare, anything on more of a personal note versus a PM note?
I will say this. Find a company that has a work-life balance that's aligned with what you want. I feel like I found that. I have a great team. I have a really, I have the ability to be flexible when I need to. Oliver is 6 months and he still occasionally shows up on business calls during the workday because he never took a bottle, and so he just does. But and don't beat yourself up. Like there's only so many hours in the day. You can only do what you can do. You have to prioritize what's important, which is your family. And then after that, if you're job searching or working, you have to really be able to kind of schedule yourself so that you can get it all done. And if you don't, it'll still be there tomorrow.
Oh, yes. Well, bringing everybody back to the stage, I just want to again say a thank you to Anna Morgan for holding things down in the back, because I would not have been able to multitask this much without you. My sincerest gratitude to each and every single one of you for joining today, for Dan bringing us all together. I adore all of you just for meeting you in this. For everyone tuning in, we all wish you the best of luck and want to have an open invitation to connect with the good people who are a part of the Job Connection Tuesday Collective. If you were not open to having conversations, asking, answering questions, then you wouldn't be a part of the group. Just remember, my closing tip is remember what your ask is and try to keep it, try to build those genuine relationships first, or show some type of genuine interest in the person that you are asking something of, and then have it be a strong ask. If you can Google it, probably don't ask it. But get curious about those things that you wouldn't otherwise be able to have access to, that industry knowledge, because just that small, teeny tiny ask compounded throughout all the people you're sending messages to will give you the cheat sheet that you need to ace your interview and land the job of your dreams. So with that, my friends, I am going to say I kept it in time. This never happens. So I'm going to play a quick outro video so our live can catch up to where you're actually watching it. And we will see you next week for Office Hours with Dan Roth on a private Zoom session. If you don't have the Zoom link, go ahead and join the Job Connection Tuesday Collective. It is pinned to the top of the group for easy access. Bye, everyone.
Bye.